Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, new commanders means, well, new decks built around commanders, and new decks built around commanders mean that there are certain commanders out there that have, well, one other very special card that works incredibly well with them. So well, in fact, that many of the times the game is over if that player just happens to play that card in combination with that commander. So, with that said, whether you are playing with that commander or against that commander, you need to know about these brand new one-card combos with commanders. So, first up, we've got Salala. Salala is back and broken now, apparently. So, we've got Salala, Eager, Trailblazer, and Sword of the Parents. This is the combo. I'll talk about Salala first. A 4/5 Elf Scout for 4 mana in Celestia with Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a 1/1 Mercenary that does what the mercenaries do, the tap power thing. Cool. Anyways, tap, choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each different power among creatures you control. This means that, well, technically, Salala can produce very easily a lot of mana, right? I mean, if you only have one creature on play, it's 1 mana, but if you've got, 4 creatures, let's just pick a number 4, and they all have different powers, which again you can manipulate with the mercenaries that you're making as well, then you can very easily get to that amount of mana. And with that amount of mana, something happens, like Sword of the Parents. An equipment for 4, as long as the creature is tapped, tap creature controller +2/+0. As long as the creature is untapped, untap creature controller +0/+2. That really doesn't matter all that much. Yeah, that does change everything's power, but again, that changes all creatures' power. So there you go. That doesn't change, you having different powers. That being said, yeah, pay 3, may tap or untap to equip creature, equip 3. Now, there are very few decks that actually utilize this just as like, okay, a temporary pump effect. No, this is a broken card that breaks with any kind of a dork that can tap for, well, more than, I was going to say 3 or more, but it's more like 4 or more, because at 3 you're like, okay, I infinitely tap, untap, and it's like, what does that do? Unless you want that one blue commander that, cares about tapping. Anyways, this one essentially says, hey, can you produce 4 mana? Great. Actually, and what I should be doing with these is make sure that I read the prerequisites ahead of time, and actually probably turn on my little mouse thing. There we go. That probably popped up on the screen. Embarrassing. Regardless, I should probably read the prerequisites to make sure that we actually say these properly. And if you have not used Commander Spellbook, it is a fantastic, amazing resource. I've actually done a couple of episodes on this, website. It's amazing. Anyways, Salala, Sword of the Parents on the battlefield. You control at least 4 creatures with different powers. Already talked about that. It's attached to Salala. I guess I should have said that. And also, Salala doesn't have a Stunning Sickness, so there you go. Basically, yeah, activates Salala, tapping it, adding at least 4 mana of any color. Activates Sword of the Parents by paying 3 to untap it, and then you repeat. And then you get infinite colored mana. So there you go. You get infinite mana of any color. That does not just win you the game technically, but usually most of the time it does. It's like, okay, I can play these cards from my hand. Okay. Awesome, I win. Yay. Oh, I've got like a Secure the Waste so I can just play that with infinite soldiers. I win. You don't technically win just because of that, but, basically infinite mana equals typically I win. That being said, with Salala, and let me make sure I've got this correct, here we go. We've got a couple of other combos with it, and I'll just go through the other card, because these basically all operate in the same fashion, in a way. Umbrell Mantle, another equipment that costs 0 to equip, actually. Equip creature has pay 3, untap symbol. Yeah, that's a weird symbol to look at. This creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So essentially the exact same thing again, 4 or more mana. Activate it, essentially you pay 3 to untap it. You also give it +2/+2 until end of turn. So technically, this might be even better than Sword of the Parents, because this actually, well, costs 0 to equip, which is nice, but also gives your commander infinite power as well. And rules lawyers out there, I'll probably just say this once, because I'm saying infinite. Yeah, technically you've got to pick a number. I understand. Okay, I understand. But yeah, so a trillion, okay? A trillion. If I ever say infinite, what I mean is a trillion, okay? So yes, a trillion power and toughness +1. So anyways, that is another way to go infinite with mana. Moving on, Staff of Domination is the last one we're going to highlight with this commander. This is a crazy one, though. An artifact for 3. It has cost 1 to untap it. Pay 2 to tap to gain 1 life. Pay 3 to tap to untap target creature. Pay 4 to tap target creature. Pay 5 to tap to draw a card. This one has a slightly different requirement in that you need 5 creatures because you want to be producing 5 mana. And Salala does Stunning Sickness again. Activate Salala by tapping and add 5 mana of any color. Activate the third ability by paying 3 to tap it to untap Salala. So again, tap the Staff of Domination, untap Salala, pay 1 to untap the Staff of Domination, rinse and repeat. You've got infinite mana, and also infinite card draw, infinite draw triggers, infinite life gain triggers, and infinite untap any creature you control. Because again, you can essentially, once you have infinite mana, activate Staff of Domination in any combination, essentially. You know, you could be like, okay, I'd like to gain 1 life. Cool. I'll also untap it. Cool. So yes, you can just gain however much life you want, tap down all your opponent's creatures, untap any of your creatures, so if you have any other activated abilities, good for you. But yeah, you can just draw your entire deck, essentially. And with that, you better be able to win the game if you've got this combination in your deck, and you have the ability to just draw your entire deck and you have infinite mana. If you can't win the game, what are you doing? Anyways, next up, got Girrid, Mirror of the Wilds in Midnight Guard. Girrid is a very broken commander. 3/3 Hasty Human Shaman for 3 mana in Naya. Non-token creatures you control have tap, create token's copy of target token. You control it, enter the battlefield this turn. Midnight Guard is a 2/3 Human Soldier for 3 mana. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, untap Midnight Guard. Now, there's actually a couple other creatures that kind of work with this one, but this is one of the simplest ones. I think Sunstrike Legionnaire actually works in the exact same way. But regardless, this is one of the simplest ones out there when it comes to the amount of cards that you actually need to win. And there technically is another condition as well. We'll get into that. Anyways, you need both on the battlefield. You control at least 1 creature token that enters the battlefield this turn. That is essentially technically a secondary card outside of just Midnight Guard. Yeah, but like a lot can fit that role, so I'm giving it to it. Anyways, Midnight Guard does not have Summoning Sickness, so yes, it needs to be able to actually tap, because again, basically, what you're going to be doing is activating Midnight Guard by tapping it. You get a token's copy of any creature token you control that enters the battlefield this turn. So again, let's say you made a 1/1 servo. Congratulations, cool. All right, yeah, tap your Midnight Guard, make another copy of that servo. Midnight Guard goes, my gosh, what is that? And it's like, oh, it's a servo you just made. It's like, oh, okay, cool, all right. Well, I'm going to tap again to make another one. Oh my gosh, what is that? Because every single time that token enters the battlefield, Midnight Guard untaps and then does it again. So yeah, Girrid is a very, 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 very broken commander that can very easily combo in a variety of ways. And yes, there are the ones like, I guess I already said Sunstrike Legionnaire, but like Intruder Alarm technically works with Mirror of the Wilds too, but I'm going to only be highlighting ones in this episode that are actually within the color identity. So like if it is the commander, it can utilize Midnight Guard. It cannot utilize Intruder Alarm, which is in blue, luckily. Regardless, there's, again, a ton of ways to combo with the Girrid, and if your deck doesn't have a combo with Girrid, congratulations, because it's really hard not to combo with it. Moving on, got Bristly Bill Sponsor and Crystalline Crawler. Bristly Bill is a 2/2. Plant Druid, because that's a thing, for 2 mana. Landfall, whenever land is battlefield under control, you get a counter on target creature. I'm going to shorthand ++1, okay? Pay 3 green, double the number of counters on each creature you control. Crystalline Crawler is a 1/1 construct for 4 mana. Converge, enters the battlefield with a number of counters on it for each color mana spent to cast it. Move a counter from it, and 1 mana of any color, you can tap to put a counter on it. This one should be pretty apparent on how it actually works, but let's read through the prerequisites just to make sure. You have it on the battlefield, and Crystalline Crawler has at least 5 counters on it, and you also have 5 mana available, which, yeah, I would assume that you do, because you're in green, and you also have a Crystalline Crawler in play that has 4, so I guess I shouldn't assume that because you need 1 more mana. Regardless, next up, you activate Bristly Bill by paying the amount of mana, 3 green, double the number of counters on each creature you control. You activate its first ability 5 times by removing 5 counters from it, and adding the 3 green from that Crystalline Crawler. You rinse and repeat. And if it's got 6 or more counters on it to start the combo, it also results in infinite colored mana. So essentially, infinite counters on each creature control that have a counter on them, and infinite colored mana are the results of this. So, yeah, technically, you can combo at just 5 mana. 5 counters from Crystalline Crawler, not generating infinite mana. If you've got creatures in play that have counters on them, like if Bristly Bill has a counter on it, yeah, that has infinite power and toughness. And again, rules lawyers out there, a trillion, whatever. But yes, if you have other creatures in play that have other abilities that, include getting counters on them or, having counters added to them, then yes, it would also trigger those as well. But yeah, if you just have 1 extra counter on Crystalline Crawler, you also have infinite mana, and you win. Again, you don't just win, but you win. You know what I mean? Moving on. Actually, Bristly Bill, I believe, also combos with Devoted Druid and other ones too. But yes, there's other combos there too. Moving on, Preston Garvey Minutemen, a 4/4 human soldier for 5 mana in Naya. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a green aura enchantment token named Settlement and attach up to 1 target land you control. It has enchant land, it has enchant land, and enchant land has tap, add 1 of any color. When Preston Garvey attacks, untap each enchanted permanent you control. And Aggravated Assault, a very broken card. Enchant for 3 mana, pay 3 red, untap all creature control. Basically get extra combat. There's a lot of words right there, and I don't like going through it every single time, but yes, you basically get extra combat, okay? But you untap your creatures just by paying 5 mana. The prerequisites. Both are on the battlefield. Enchanted permanents you control can tap to produce at least 4 mana, 3 in a red. You control at least 1 land that does not have a summon token attached to it. Enchanted permanents, and you can tap to produce at least 3 red. An opponent cannot block and kill Preston. That's a very important one, yes, because you actually have to send Preston Garvey into danger to actually do so. These steps. At the beginning of combat, of your combat phase, Preston's first ability triggers putting a settlement or a token on the Tether land you control. So again, that's why you can technically just have 4 instead of 5 essentially out there. You declare it as an attacker. Preston's second ability triggers, untapping each enchanted permanent you control, which untaps those lands, obviously, the 5. Move to your post-combat main phase. Activate any number of enchanted permanents you control by tapping them, adding at least 3 red. Activate Aggravated Assault by paying that amount, untapping all creatures you control, and getting initial combat phase. After this one, you rinse and repeat. Results, infinite combat phases, infinite untap creature control, infinite untap enchanted permanents you control, and I would say technically infinite mana as well. Again, if you had, one more land, essentially, all you need is 1 more lands. You need 6 lands in play that can do that. Then you would get there. If you have 6 enchanted lands, you get there for infinite mana as well. So yeah, all those steps, basically you just win. It does say like infinite, it's like, it is technically infinite combat phases, but again, like if you're taking opponents out, it's not infinite, right? Because there's like a little upper threshold to that. Like technically, again, we're talking about like Bristly Bill, like infinite mana. That's more infinite in my opinion, because it's like there's no upper threshold to it, right? You have to stop at some point, sure, but it's not like dependent on another factor. Like this is dependent upon your opponents not dying to Preston, though I guess if Preston is, indestructible, then it stays in play anyways. Regardless, yes, a very interesting way to go infinite with it. If you're playing against Preston Garvey, look out for Aggravated Assault. If you're playing against a lot of commanders, look out for Aggravated Assault. Anyways, next up. Helly Charge, very similar. I'm going to go through this one very quickly because it's basically the exact same thing. A 5/5 flying hasty dragon for 6 mana in red. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 5 red. If you do untap all attack creatures after this combat phase, it's your combat phase. It's essentially the exact same thing, except you need, 6? Yeah. 6 permanents essentially that can tap for at least 5 red that are enchanted, and then when you attack, you do the 7th. So there you go. So you can make 7 mana. Again, if you want to go infinite, 8 mana for infinite mana, I should say. But yeah, infinite combat triggers, or infinite combats, essentially. Yeah, that's basically it. And I guess another prerequisite, which is already kind of said, that Helly Charge has to be able to survive combat as well, just like Preston does too. Next up, we've got Bloodletter of Aclazotz and Virtus the Veiled. Virtus the Veiled, start with the commander first. A 1/1 Azra Assassin for 2 and a black. It partners, I guess that counts. Sure, you have a partner. That doesn't really matter with this, though. Death Touch deals combat to a player. That player loses half their life rounded up. This one's very simple. A 2/4 Vampire Demon, Bloodletter of Aclazotz for 4 mana and black flying. If an opponent loses life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. Let's read how this works. It's pretty obvious. Bloodletter of Aclazotz and Virtus Veiled is on the battlefield. Virtus does not have summoning sickness, cannot be blocked by an opponent. Steps. Deal combat damage to an opponent. Cool. Virtus the Veiled triggers causing a defending player to lose their entire life total due to Bloodletter of Aclazotz. Opponent loses the game due to having 0 less life. I guess another prerequisite is that opponent doesn't have what's that one? Phyrexian Unlife. If they don't have something that's like, I can't lose the game, then yes. Infinite life loss for target opponent. Target opponent loses the game. So yeah, no matter what the opponent's life total is, they are gone, essentially. So this is a very simple, very effective combo. If you're playing against Virtus the Veiled, look out for Bloodletter of Aclazotz. Any of those Wound Reflection type of cards, but yeah, quite gross. Next up. This one's hilarious. Some people don't like these kind of combos, but I think it's funny. Kate Stewart and Soul Tether Golem. Kate Stewart is a 3/3 human scientist for 4 mana in Jeskai. Whenever you put 1 or more time counters on a permanent you control, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 8. If you do attack creatures, get +X/+X after X is the number of time counters among permanents you control. Soul Tether Golem is a 3/3 artifact creature golem for 2 mana with Vanishing 1. But whenever another creature comes into play under your control, you get a time counter on it. So, the way that one was designed is like, oh, you get a 3/3 for 2 mana. But hey, you can keep it in play if you get more, creatures in play to give it more time counters on it, so it doesn't vanish away. That's not how it works with this one, though. Kate Stewart enters the battlefield, or on the battlefield, and Soul Tether Golem in hand, and 2 mana available is how this entire strategy works. Here we go. Steps. You cast Soul Tether Golem by paying 2. Soul Tether Golem enters the battlefield with a time counter on it due to its vanishing ability. Kate Stewart's first ability triggers saying, hey, make a soldier. When the soldier enters the battlefield, Soul Tether Golem's second ability appears, putting a time counter on it. It says, oh, look, a soldier, time counter. Then Kate says, hey, a time counter, have a soldier. And then Soul Tether says, hey, a soldier, I get a time counter. Basically, you keep repeating this infinitely. Note, this combo creates a mandatory infinite loop that ends the game in a draw if it's not interact with. So technically, the results are draw the game, infinite creature tokens, infinite ETB, infinite time counters on Soul Tether Golem. But again, this is not a May ability. Again, this technically draws the game. If you cannot have it, if you don't have a way to stop this, if no one has a way to stop this, the game is over. It's not, well, I decide that this doesn't happen anymore. Now I have an army that is infinite. No, you need a way to sacrifice the Soul Tether Golem or something, get it off the field, get Kate Stewart the field, have either just off the field at some point so that it does not keep occurring. So that's how that works. But again, those kind of mandatory infinite loop setters, they're kind of funny because it's yeah, we all sat down to play a game and one of us is going to win and no one wins. No one wins because I played a 2-mana 3/3 Golem that's janky and no one uses it except for this very, very specific deck. There you go. Moving on. Lonis, genetics expert and extruder. Lonis is a 1/2 Snake Elf Detective because that's a thing for 3 mana in Simic. Evolve. Whenever one or more counters are put on Lonis, investigate that many times. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a counter on another target creature you control. Extruder is a 4/3 Juggernaut for 4 mana. Echo 4. Sacrifice an artifact, put a counter on target creature. Prerequisites. Lonis, Extruder are both on the battlefield. You control at least 1 additional artifact. This one's pretty simple, actually. Steps. Activate Extruder by sacrificing an artifact. If the artifact was a clue, Lonis' second ability triggers, getting a counter on another creature you control. Resolve Extruder's ability, putting a counter on Lonis. Lonis' first ability triggers, creating a clue token. Rinse and repeat. Basically, sacrifice counter, sacrifice counter, sacrifice counter, sacrifice counter. What do we get out of it? Results. Infinite counters. Congratulations. Infinite counters. So, this is also one that technically, you're sacrificing artifacts too, so I would say, technically, infinite artifact hitting the graveyard triggers if you have anything in play that cares about that, or just anything hitting the graveyard. So there you go. So yeah, you got that kind of crazy combo with this Snake Elf Detective and its Juggernaut robot thingy. Cool. Moving on, we've got the Pride of the Hulkclade and Body of Research. The Pride of the Hulkclade is an incredibly spicy commander. I love it. A 2/5 Crocodile Elk Turtle, because that's a thing, for 11 mana, but it's going to cost X cast for X the total toughness of creatures you control, so it's going to cost just basically 1 mana, which is lovely. Defender, pay 2 blue until a turn target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains when this creature is combined to a player. Draw cards equal to its toughness. It can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Body of Research, a very spicy card. 6 mana, basically a combination of green and blue, 3 of each. Sorcery, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Get X counters on or X the number of cards in your library. Prerequisites, the Pride of the Hulkclade is on the battlefield, Body of Research in hand, opponent can't block creatures you control, you have way to give creature haste, and you also have 2 plus a lot of mana in play. Green, blue. So that's what, 10 mana in total? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 10 mana. But you're in green. You can pretty easily get to 10, right? Steps. Cast Body of Research by paying, that's 6 mana in those combination of colors, creating a 0/0 fractal, equal to number of your deck size. Give the fractal token haste. You also then activate Pride of the Hulkclade by paying its cost, targeting the fractal. Deal combination to opponent using the fractal token. The fractal token triggers, causing you to draw cards equal to its toughness. Results. Infinite card draw, infinite draw triggers, near infinite combat damage to target opponent. I would say this one's kind of I guess this kind of requires, it's kind of like an I lose. The opponent's going to lose when you hit them, most likely, right? Because it's enough damage to take them out. If it's it's an 80-80, yeah, it's going to take someone out regardless. But this is also one where you're drawing cards essentially equal to your library +1. Or library what it was +1, right? Essentially. So you are, yeah. Oh no, because it's toughness. Never mind. You're drawing cards equal to your library size, though. So you just draw your entire library. And if you can win from there, great. If you can't, next turn you're just going to lose by drawing your card. So unless you've got a way to stop that card draw, like Abundance or whatever, then you would lose. So this is draw your library combo, but also one that requires 10 mana. So you need more mana to actually take advantage of it. If you have infinite mana, then yeah, it's a combo there. It is technically a combo to look out for. It's a pretty janky combo, but it's kind of funny. Next up, one that is not janky, really interesting actually. Saheeli, the Sun's Brilliance and Time Stream Navigator. A 2/2 Human Artificer for 2 mana in Izzet. Pay Izzet colors. Tap, create tokens, copy another target creature or artifact you control accepts an artifact with other types. It gains haste, sacrifice, be a next end step. Time Stream Navigator is a 1/1 human pirate wizard. 14 mana in blue. Ascend. Hey, you get the City's Blessing if you got 10 or more permanents. Very easy. By paying 4, you tap, 2 in blue. Tap, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, take an extra for this one. Activate if you got the City's Blessing. Prerequisites. See Healy and Time Stream Navigator on the battlefield. You've got the City's Blessing, and you've got 2 blue, and a red. So 6 mana each turn available. It does say each turn because the combo involves more than one turn. Steps. Activate Healy by paying that cost and tapping it. You get a token's copy of Time Stream Navigator with haste. You activate that Time Stream Navigator token by paying that amount, tapping it, put it on the bottom of its owner's library from the battlefield, which, yeah, it's a token. It doesn't really, it goes there, but it doesn't go there, right? Causing you to take an extra for this one. Repeat each turn. So essentially, you are going to be getting, what? Infinite turns. Very simple, very effective. So, I mean, you do need other ways to win from there, but if you're taking all the turns, you better be able to win. If you're like, okay, I've got 80 cards in my library. All right, I get another turn. If you can't win with 80 free turns, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, you basically just get infinite turns with this, and that's basically it. It's pretty spicy. Next up, we've got... Oh, this is very simple, isn't it? Ourtok, Deepest Foundation, or / Temple Civilization, technically, / Spawn Sire of Ulamog. Ourtok, Deepest Foundation is a 6/6 god with vigilance that is pushed, to say the least, for 6 mana and white. If one or more creature tokens are created under your control, 3 times that many of those tokens are created instead. Wizards, stop with the doubling and tripling, please. And also, yeah, if it dies, it comes back flipped. Don't worry about that. We don't care about that for this combo. Spawn Sire of Ulamog is a 7/11 Eldrazi for 10 mana with Annihilator 1. Pay 4, put 2/0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn tokens on the battlefield. They can be sacrificed to add a single colorless mana to your mana pool. You can also pay 20 and cast an Umbrell Eldrazi you own from outside the game with your mana cost, but you can't do that in Commander because the Rules Committee doesn't believe in outside the game, even though it could be a really fun thing. Yeah. Yeah, this one's pretty simple. Ourtok and Spawn Sire of Ulamog on the battlefield. You got 4 mana available. Steps. Activate Spawn Sire of Ulamog's ability by paying 4, and you make 6 Eldrazi spawns because, again, you'd usually get 2, but you triple that, so you get 6 instead. You activate 4 of the Eldrazi spawn by sacrificing them, and you get 4 colorless mana, and then you repeat. You activate the ability again, and you keep generating essentially 2 extra Eldrazi spawn every single time that you can hold on to. And yes, you can utilize for mana as well. So results are infinite colorless mana, infinite creature tokens, infinite death triggers, infinite ETB, infinite LTB, infinite sacrifice triggers, all those things. Technically, again, doesn't win you the game right then and there, but yeah, you could pretty easily win with infinite colorless mana, infinite creature tokens, and if you had any ETB triggers or death triggers, you could take advantage of those as well. So yeah, pretty spicy combination. And technically, you could activate that other ability an infinite number of times to cast Eldrazi from outside the game, but you can't do that. I mean, you can activate it, but you don't get the result of it because the Rules Committee doesn't like that for some reason. Rules Committee. Moving on. The Master formed anew in Palinchron. That art is just scary. The Master formed anew is a 0/1 Time Lord Rogue for 2 mana and Dimir. Body Thief. Whenever you cast a spell, you may exile a creature you control and put a takeover counter on it. You may have the Master formed anew enter the battle as a copy of a creature card exile with a takeover counter on it. Palinchron is a 4/5 illusion for 7 mana in blue. With flying, enters the battlefield on tap to 7 lands. Pay 2 blue, return it back to its owner's hand. Prerequisites. Pretty simple, actually. The Master Master formed anew is in hand or in the command zone. Palinchron is in exile and it's got a takeover counter on it. Then you can control up to 7 lands. You can tap to produce at least 2 blue, and black. Did I say that right? Anyways, you have enough mana to pay for the commander tax beyond the first 4 if applicable. Steps. Activate up to 7 lands by tapping them for that amount of mana. Cast the Master either from your hand or from the command zone by paying that cost. Commander tax if applicable. Choosing to have it enters a copy of Palinchron. When it enters the battlefield, triggers untapping 7 lands. You activate up to 7 lands by tapping them, adding at least that amount. Activate the Master by paying that 4 mana, essentially 2 blue. Bounce, get back to your hand, repeat from step 2. Essentially, if you've got lands that can tap to produce at least 3 blue, and black, this combo nets infinite mana. Results, infinite ETB, infinite LTB, infinite mana, lands you control can produce, infinite storm count. So yeah, essentially, whatever that extra land, if you got, again, 7, whatever that extra land can tap for, you're tapping for, again, if that can tap, let's say it's a command tower, just to make it easy. Okay, you can get infinite mana of any color. So there you go. So yes, you're infinitely casting your commander, infinite storm count, infinite lands, infinite mana, you got plenty of ways to win from there. Again, technically, it does not just win you the game on the spot, but if you got infinite mana, infinite all those things, you probably win. So it's a spicy combo. If you're playing against the Master formed anew, look out for Palinchron. I mean, I guess if you ever see a Palinchron in any deck, just look out for that regardless, because that's a combo card. That is a combo card. Peregrine Drake was a Great Whale, all essentially are those kinds of cards. Anyways, moving on. Next up, Caesar, Legions, Emperor, and Breath of Fury. Caesar, Legion Empire, Emperor, is a 4/4 human soldier for 4 mana in Mardu. Whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, choose 2. Create 2 1/1 red soldier and creature tokens with haste, tapped and attacking. Draw a card, lose 1 life. Deals number of creature tokens you control target opponent. Breath of Fury is a very spicy aura that costs 4 mana in red and enchanted creature control. Whenever it deals combat to a player, you sacrifice that creature. Attach Breath of Fury to a creature you control. If you do, untap all creatures you control after this phase, it's your combat phase. So basically, extra combat. Prerequisites. Both are on the battlefield. Breath of Fury is attached to another creature control that does not have summoning sickness. An opponent cannot block creatures you control. Yeah. You control at least 1 creature, excluding the creature that has Breath of Fury attached. Steps. Declare the creature with Breath of Fury attached as an attacker. Caesar's going to trigger, causing you to sacrifice another creature control and create 2 soldiers with haste that are tapped and attacking. You deal combat damage using that creature with Breath of Fury attached. Breath of Fury triggers, causing you to sacrifice the creature attached to it. Then you attach to another soldier token, essentially, causing you to untap a creature control and get initial combat phase after this one. Repeat each combat phase. Essentially, you need to be able to get your creatures through. Let's just say, for example, you gave all your creatures unblockability. Your creatures can't block this turn, whatever it is, okay? Just to be easy with this one, because, yeah, you do need to keep getting the creature that's attached to it through, as well as those soldiers need to be surviving as well in combat, too. Results: infinite combat damage, infinite combat phases, infinite death triggers, infinite ETB, infinite LTB, infinite sacrifice triggers, infinite untap of creatures you control. Technically also, because again, when you sacrifice another creature, when you choose 2 with Caesar again, so you can also just choose that Caesar deals damage to the number of creature tokens you control a target opponent, so infinite damage with that technically. Again, there's an upper threshold on all this based on your opponent's life totals. And also, technically, infinite draw, but based on your life total as well, and the number of cards in your library too, so there's a lot of, again, like, just upper thresholds of this, but still a spicy combo. Yeah. Next up, and finally, and this one, I did slip this one in. This is not a 1-card combo with a commander, but it is a 2-card combo I wanted to highlight that you need to be aware of now. Multiplication and Dualcter Mage. Multiplication is a sorcery for 2 mana. Create tokens, copy target artifact, creature control. Accepts an artifact of other types. It gains haste till turn. Sacrifice be a next end step. In Dualcter Mage. If you ever see a Dualcter Mage, you're probably already gone. Anyways, Flash Human Wizard for 3 mana in red. Enters the battlefield. Copy target in sorcery spell. 2 targets for the copy. Prerequisites: Multiplication and Dualcter Mage are both in hand. You control at least 1 artifact or creature, and you've got 5 mana available to red. Steps: cast it by paying that cost, targeting anything. In response, cast Dualcter Mage, so before it resolves, essentially. Cast that. When Dualcter Mage enters the battlefield, it triggers, creating a copy of Multiplication and changing the target to Dualcter Mage. Resolve the Multiplication copy, creating an artifact creature token that's copied Dualcter Mage with haste. Sacrifice be a next end step. Repeat from step 3 any number of times. The result is infinite creature tokens with haste, infinite death triggers, infinite ETBs, infinite LTBs, infinite major triggers, infinite sacrifice triggers. I mean, you're not going to get to the infinite sacrifices, most likely, because you're just going to swing out with your infinitely large army. Again, a number of rules layers out there. 1 trillion Dualcter Mages, whatever it is. You swing with them all, you win. Essentially, anytime you're playing as a red deck that has, I create a creature token copy of something, you're probably going to lose, because Dualcter Mage is going to be following that behind and being like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. If they've got 3 red mana, they get Dualcter Mage in, I should say. But yes, this is yet another, like, Twin Flame type card. So, yeah, make sure you're looking out for that as well. But now as this episode is coming to a close, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on these combos. Are you afraid of seeing these combos? I mean, basically, again, like, any kind of a Gira deck, I am just going to be afraid of, because it combos with so many things. Yes, Midnight Guard is probably the easiest. That, like, Sunstrike Legionnaire, that one too as well. Intruder Alarm, luckily can't go in there. Gear doesn't need any more help, though. But yeah, Salala obviously can combo with a lot of things. Bristly Bill can combo with a lot of things as well. It's a lot of brand new commanders that are pretty spicy when it comes to combos. Let me know if there's any that I missed out there. Any 1-card combos with commanders that I missed out there. So please let me know in the comments below. And of course, I get Ansrag. How did I not get Ansrag? Okay, yeah, Ansrag combos as well, with like fog effects, indestructible effects, a lot of things as well. That Quake Mole is scary. Regardless, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this. If you are interested in these cards, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And of course, as always, thanks again and Have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.